It's been a long day. It's been a long day for me too. Good evening, everyone. I have to get the clicker and find the faded button. How are you? Okay, I don't think it's only Jason in this room that has energy. How are we? Thank you. All right. It's not working. All right. Hi, I'm Jess. I actually have a confession to make. And since there's a lot of tweeters now, I'm a little bit nervous. I used to lie in meetings. That's a more provocative way of saying what's on the screen. And essentially what I mean by that was in meetings, I didn't share my thoughts. If I thought something was wrong or stupid, I didn't often say it. I also didn't share my feelings. And that meant I wasn't being Jess. And so I wasn't bringing my full self to bear. That's probably not a good thing. And turns out it's even less of a good thing because this is what my calendar looks like. And I do a lot of these. And if I'm not bringing my full self, that's probably not good. And I imagine you might be in the same boat. If you're like the average person, we spend about 50% of our time in meetings. And if we're not the best we can be, that's probably not good. All right, we've established that, not good. So that's why I'm here to talk tonight. I'm here to talk about how to make your meetings more human and stop lying, essentially. So I want to share with you how it was, what I changed, and then a very, very important call to action. All right, let's dive into it. First kind of meeting that I typically go to, I'm sure you had them today, is that team meeting. We're sitting in a room, somebody's talking about what they're working on, the progress they've made, where their next steps are. And I have found myself thinking, I don't know if I agree. And I look around the room, and I see nobody saying anything. People are kind of nodding their heads. And I think, well, maybe I'll give it some time. And I don't want to look stupid, but also I don't want to insult them, so I'll just be quiet. And so I don't say anything, and fast forward, it kind of ends like this, that the person was just sharing and nobody questioned anything. We all kind of had nodding heads. Do I see some nodding heads? Yes? Okay, we relate? Good. Thank you. Thank you for validating what I'm here talking about. All right, there's another kind of meeting. It's called the one-on-one, and I also do a ton of those during the week. And what I learned at BMO is this is my time with my boss, and I got to use it well. So I came with an agenda, because that's what you do. And we talk about business things and stuff to review and approve. And if we're going to talk about anything personal, it's going to be my career, obviously, right? Where can I grow? What can I do better? And that wasn't so good, because I put business interests over my emotions. This is an important word. We're talking emotions. I put business over my emotions. So not great. Let me tell you what I changed. As you can imagine, I changed and I started to speak up. I started to say, I don't agree. Or how about instead we do this? And I started encouraging that with my team as well. And it was amazing to see the difference in where we could land as a team because everybody had shared their thoughts. In my one-on-ones, I started to share my emotions as well. All the emotions. My fears, my frustrations, my anxieties, yes, my anxieties. And with my boss, my manager, Brandon, we were able to solve the problems that were most important and together build a stronger relationship, build trust, and it was amazing. Now, and he also thinks it's good. Now, here's the thing, because you're like, okay, yeah, Jess, whatever, platitudes, fine. You learned, you shared your voice, who cares? But here's the most important point. What was it that was stopping me? You know, it sounds so obvious, but why didn't I? And that was the most important thing that I had to reflect on, which was, it's these norms, it's these things that hold us back. I was conditioned to not speak up, to hold my voice, to, you don't want to embarrass anybody in a team meeting, or God forbid you tell your feelings to your boss. You're like, how are you? I'm okay, right? And these are things that we've all learned and plague us every day. And these are things that we talk about at SoapBox. We talk about how do we create a high-performance culture. We talk about how do we make an awesome team. We talk about building trust. We talk about sharing our voice. And yet we weren't doing it, and so we thought about how do we create these new habits, because they have to come in and day out. And we talked about good talk, because you got to have good talk, which is why we created this app. It's called Good Talk, and it's for your team meetings and one-on-ones. And really what it does is, and what I encourage you all is around, and the key lesson is around creating habits that encourage everyone to share their voice and build trust. So most important lesson. Okay, now you're like, Jess, great, what am I going to do with that? Let me tell you, I've got 2 calls to action for you. The first is, I want you to do some introspection. I don't think you got the warning that there was going to be like a pseudo-hippie on the stage. And I don't have a quick answer for you, right? Because there's not a quick way to change the habits that we work with together and the way we act at work. So I ask you to ask yourself around what keeps you from being your best in meetings. What keeps you from saying the truth and building trust with others you work with? All right, I got a second one. Everybody take out your phones. If you're not over tweeting, if you already have your phone, swipe right, finish what you're doing. Okay, our phone's out, yes? Okay, email me, jess@soapboxhq.com. I could not fit everything in here, and we've got so much more to share. I also might send you a link to Good Talk, but I think because it's for your own good. And I'll tell you why. This is really awesome. Can we kudos to Jason and Alex? Okay. But I think it's just one small representation of what we're doing in the startup community. We are definitely the change makers and the builders. Let's be clear, it's Justin Trudeau that's coming to take photos with us, right? Who has a selfie with Justin? I don't. Okay. Maybe one day. But we have the opportunity to really change the way we work, but also set the stage for everyone else, and so that others can follow suit. So I encourage you to please email me, because I want to start this tribe. Let's start the conversation and how we build trust and share our voice in our meetings and be more human. Thank you, everyone.
Questions?
What's been the most difficult one-on-one emotional meeting that you've had?
I'll be honest, no, because I think these are good, and I love people being honest. I think I had, when I spoke with Brennan, my boss, about a job offer that I had been given, and how I had to say, I thought about it hard, because there was something that was really appealing. And what was amazing was we could talk about that, and he understood where I wanted to go, and I understood where the business was going, and that made me even more committed. But had I not done that, like I had done at BMO, and I didn't have the conversations at all, I just pieced out, I'm like a million times more committed. We have a stronger relationship, and he gets me better, and yeah. Thank you.
Hey Jess, thank you so much for the presentation. So my founder and I, we actually came up with a similar idea as yours not so long ago. So I did some research, and you can please show up. So my question for you is, I understand, have a basic level what your company does.
Yeah.
So it collects, for example, feedback, ideas from employees. So a question for you is, how do you sell to big businesses to get across the different barriers to get to the decision maker who actually take your idea and implement it in a large organization? And how do you sell to small businesses that didn't really think they need your service?
Okay, big question. Let me break that. So big businesses. Naturally, and I would encourage everyone to go to Sales TO, you need a outbound sales team, and that's key. I think what's really important with big business and where we differentiate is in how we approach things. You can bring a software and you can say, hey, here's the tool and it's going to change your world, and we're going to run it exactly like how you thought. Instead, we bring interesting insight on how to make it the most successful. And of course, I'm biased that that's, you know, the area that I focus in, but I'll draw from there. And we have a different way of how do you drive change in a large organization. And so understanding how a client of ours, BMO, can use a software and get value and drive change and get people to adopt it has been huge for us. And it might be not as intuitive as one might think. And so giving really good thought to how do you change those behaviors. And then in terms of the small business, I think that's an easier one, because for them it's a lot lower barrier, right? You got 100, 200 people, and you sort of are able to get going, and they have much more enthusiasm, much higher adoption, and so I think for them it's just about making it price competitive.
Thank you.
Last question.
Oh.
Hi.
Hi.
You and I are lucky enough to work at startups where we can say things and we don't get shot down, it doesn't get used against us, and politically, whatever. But I've been around other organizations where it's very much not like that. And so this question is actually on behalf of all the poor people in the audience who are not as lucky as you and I are. What advice do you have for them for how they can not have to bottle things up?
That's a good question. My suggestion is to be as open in who you are. I think that is the best way that one can set example. Well, A, be genuine and authentic, and I find that when I am, I thrive and I can be better, but also it sets an example and allows others to learn. And actually, I totally forgot, and I was trying to see if I could work this in, and I did. I want to introduce you to Mr. Bear. He sits on my desk, and one of the big reasons why my team is comfortable in sharing with me, and we have very open discussions and we have strong trust, is because he sits on my lap when I'm frustrated or when I'm really stressed out, like he did in a really tough client call today. And they know that I have those feelings, and so that to them sort of lowers the waterline and allows them to also feel comfortable to share. And so regardless of whether you're in a leadership position or not, I would encourage everybody to act in the way that they think is best and start to set the example for everyone. Thank you.
Ask you about the bear.